Cynthia La Rue. I am with Finca La Plata. Formerly, this used to be Hacienda La Trampa. It was my parents' farm, my grandparents' farm, my great-great-grandparents' farm. We've been here for 4 generations. It's of matrilineal descent. So from my great-grandmother to my grandmother to my mother and now to me.
So where are we standing right now?
This area is called El Mirador. Obviously, we have a gorgeous view, not only of my farm, but the Tuma Valley. I have a planting area called El Mirador, and we also have La Bolsa, which is my favorite planting area. And I have La Sorpresa, which there's a lovely story behind it as well.
And for how long has your family been producing coffee?
The original piece of land was bought in the 1890s. My great-grandmother, Simforosa, put the money. My great-grandfather purchased the land. There was a significant movement in the coffee sector. The government was fostering coffee, and my great-grandparents took advantage of that. So the entrepreneurial one was Simforosa, and the one who worked and stopped building La Trampa was my great-grandfather, Carmen. As you might think, back in those days, Nicaragua was still a very different country. There was an English protectorate in the Atlantic coast, and the route between Jinotega and the coast, the English protectorate, was through here. And so all the mule trains would stop, and you would have a train of 40, 50, 60 mules come through, and this was the mandatory stop because everything else was relatively virgin rainforest. And hence the name La Trampa. My great-grandfather had a fantastic sense of humor, and he thought it funny that you had to stop in the trap, La Trampa.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this farm was built initially by my great-grandparents. My mother, Mercedes, inherited this farm specifically, and my father and mother worked this land and purchased the reserve back in the 50s and 60s, and grew this farm from 200 quintals to, back in 52 when they got married, to produce over 12,000 quintals.
Wow.
Back in those days, the coffee left in Café Oro exportable from here to port. So my father had drying capacities and milling capacities to ship straight to port.
Amazing. And what inspired you to want to be a part of this industry?
Truth be told, my father called his 6 kids, and as one might have history in Nicaragua, this land was not in the family possession. We never lost title, we lost possession for a good 25 years. When my father regained possession, he called his 6 kids and said, "Who's going to help me?" He called each one of us, and truth be told, I didn't hesitate to say, "Dad, happy to help." At that time, I thought he wanted us to write a check and help him out. He had a different idea. He wanted his kids back, and he wanted his kids to learn to farm. He did the unthinkable. He split up the farm. And my brother's farms and my farm took the name of a planting area that was set up by my parents. The planting area that I have at my highest elevation is called La Plata, hence the name of the farm, La Plata.
And what do you specialize here at La Plata?
My father brought the first Caturra in Nicaragua, or at least in the northern section of Nicaragua, back in the 60s. I farmed Caturra just like we did. My father knew the soil quite well, and Caturra does quite beautifully here. I have brought some very nice Catuai, red Catuai, and purchased some Pacamara from El Salvador, Los Pirineos. So those are the 3 varieties that I have.
And how much coffee do you produce per year?
Depending on a high, 5-6 containers. I'd like to think of my farm as we are experimental producers, hence we work with different fermentations, trying to optimize the cup that the terroir can give us. But at the same time, we produce all varieties, because all cup ranges, I should say, because be it a farm, if it rains, then the cup will not be as stellar as I'd like to hope. When conditions permit, we cut or we harvest at a high level of specialty picking, in which is only the ripe cherries are selected. When rain conditions do not permit, then we have to do what's right for the farm.
This year has been really tough for everybody.
Yes.
What have you done to kind of change your game plan after you've been affected by this pandemic?
Well, there's two questions in that. One is COVID. We have taken measures for our staff to safeguard our staff. And safeguard the two or three main areas that really safeguard the farm. One is I'm the head, so all the decisions are made by me. The heart of the farm, which is my foreman, and he and his family need to be protected at all times because really he is the muscle in my farm. And the stomach of my farm, which is my kitchen, that keeps all the people fed and the people working. But those are the three predominant areas where we have taken extraordinary measures to safeguard our pre-harvest staff and harvest. But really, every person is important here. So from hand sanitizing to hand washing to changing the culture of educating and teaching and reinforcing and educating and teaching and reinforcing to understand that this is extraordinary times, and not only in the coffee world, in the coffee lands, but really all over the world.
And have you encountered any problems this harvest season?
Besides 2 hurricanes back to back in 2 weeks' time, it's been a challenging harvest. It's been a challenging year, just like it's been for everyone else. We've had a reasonable set of rains before the hurricanes. The growth of the bean was fantastic. The development was really quite exceptional. And then we got through October, and the foreman said, Cynthia, we had a fantastic rain year, and then 2 hurricanes hit. We were in the cone for both hurricanes. The first one was a slow hurricane with a significant amount of rain, but not a significant amount of wind. The second one was a rather short hurricane, but significant wind exposure. So rain damage was a bit of an issue. As we all know, that's not optimal for coffee, especially in the area of becoming ripe and absorbing too much water will create. We took defensive measures to clean up after both hurricanes to ensure the quality of the grain was significantly better and reduce any potential damaged grains. But at the same time, it's been a rainy harvest. Some people call it Atlantic weather. I'd like to say that perhaps climate change is real, and it's here, and it's indeed an issue.
Cynthia, in your opinion, what is sustainable coffee?
To me, the definition of sustainability lies on the fact that you need to be able to produce profitably, year in, year out. Not only to sustain the people that work the lands and the farmer, but to be able to generate and invest, to rejuvenate the planting areas, to be able to do the right thing for the farm, the people.
And do you have any advice for any young coffee producers who are entering into the industry?
Understand that this is hard. This is not for the faint-hearted. Folks do not understand. I did not understand, and I grew up in this, that my parents made it look easy. I worked in corporate America a significant period of time in positions of respect. And this will challenge even the best. This is not easy.
What message do you want to pass on to your end consumers?
Enjoy your cup. This is with passion. Farming and coffee farming is about passion. If you're not passionate about what you do, then you can't do this. When you drink your coffee, know that there's much more behind the cup. There is a story behind the cup. And perhaps sometimes think of it not as a commodity, but as a journey into the coffee lands and the flavors that it brings with it.
What is your vision for the future with Finca La Plata?
Well, I hope to pass it on to the next generation. It would be a terrific story to say that 5 generations of women work in this land.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Cynthia.
You bet.